everybody. New podcast out with Don Adams. Don is a local Boston guy who went to UMass Lowell for industrial engineering and chronicles his journey working through some of the printed circuit board boom, a little bit of time in the defense industry, and then he talks about his last almost 20 years of his career that he spent at Bose. Don's recently retired, and he was an excellent source of information, especially for early engineers, or early stage in their career engineers, looking for what should I go after? How do I get the hands-on experience I need to parlay that into bigger organizations? Talked about moving from individual contributor into more of a leadership role and the power of summarizing. But we also talked about some of the big headlines of the day, how AI and automation is impacting the manufacturing industry, as well as how he thinks it's going to continue to progress over the coming years. So check it out. Mr. Don Adams, welcome to Beers and Careers.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
Cheers. We're drinking it's a Nitro stout from Berkshire Brewing Company, which you like, right?
Yep.
You like Berkshire Brewing.
Yeah.
Love that. Well, thanks for coming on, Don. We got to know each other, 5 years ago we worked together, maybe? I don't even remember.
Maybe even longer.
Might have even been longer.
It was before COVID.
Yes.
So,
yeah, right. It was before COVID. And I saw you retired on LinkedIn. I was like, oh, man, the podcast I've wanted to get. Davis is so focused on manufacturing customers and companies that build complex products, basically, that when you retired, I was like, I want to talk to Don about his career and journey throughout Bose. But before we get into it, I got to ask you a couple rapid fire questions so people can get to know you a little bit.
Okay.
Do you have a favorite? It is Beers and Careers. Do you have a favorite cocktail drink?
I like these Berkshire Brewing beers. Those are kind of my go-to things like this, ambers and brown beers that are
like an English brown ale kind of thing.
Yeah, things with a lot of flavor, not as much into hops and.
Yep. The IPAs, if you will.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite quote?
Oh, I have a whole bunch of them. One of my favorite work quotes is, "You've got to know more than your suppliers." I got that one from a seminar I went to on circuit boards, and the guy was showing us defects, and he says, "This is what they're going to tell you, and this is what's really going on."
Interesting.
And so he finished it off. He says, "See, you got to know more than your suppliers." And by the end of the seminar, he's like yelling at us. but it's stuck to me as something that was it had a lot of application to it.
Yeah, it sounds like it stuck with you. To the point where you live by it to a degree.
Yeah. You're not necessarily going to know more than your supplier about things, but you need to know enough about what you're buying to make good decisions, and to know when they're trying to pull the wool over on you.
Yeah, that makes sense. You sounded like a guy who's got a lot of favorite quotes. Is there a second one in there I can coax out of you here?
Yeah, power. This was from a time management guy. He said, "Power comes to those who can summarize." And
power comes to those who can summarize. Wow, I like that.
And you see it in politicians. Someone like James Tallarico. He's not talking a lot, but you get the point right away.
Right.
And I throughout my career, I've seen that too. We've been in quality meetings where the presenter's dancing around a problem, and it's like,
get to the point.
And I had to talk to the guys. Look, we need the 3 top defects. This is what it is. This is what we think's causing it, and this is what we're doing. And because when you start talking too much, all of a sudden everyone has questions.
Right.
You go down the rabbit hole, and the meetings take an hour instead of 20 minutes.
So true. Which many people, business professionals, are listening to and nodding their head to.
But yeah, you see guys like Steve Jobs. He wouldn't.
Right.
He present complex topics very simply. Slides with no words on them, things like that.
Simple and plain.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I like that one. You don't know who the time management guy was, do you? Who said it?
No.
That's all right. I put you on the spot. What was your first job? And it doesn't have to be W-2. Like first job you got paid to do.
My first job I got paid to do was I was working at the Buick garage. My father worked there in the mornings.
Okay.
And at 13 years old, he brought me in to sweep the floors and wash cars.
Awesome.
And, so all summer I'd be washing cars. You'd get through them all, and then you'd start at the beginning again. There's just a garden hose and a bucket of soap. And
Keep going. Keep going. Do you curse? Do you have a favorite curse word?
I'd probably use the F word as much as anyone. It's kind of almost become a pause, like or. And,
right. It's a great adjective.
But I do see it being used in like town hall meetings and things.
Yeah.
And that kind of turns me off a little bit. You know, so you try and want to be a little more professional and save that for when you need impact.
Yes, or with your buddies, not in the public eye there.
Well, not when you're talking to a room full of people.
Agreed.
Yeah,
but I want to ask you this question, but I first want to talk to you about your career, honestly. So just give me like give us like the 50,000 foot Reader's Digest version. So when did you decide to get into engineering?
In high school.
Oh, okay, early.
I was looking at forestry because I like to work outdoors.
Okay.
And I always like to take things apart, so and build things. So I said, I looked into it and I said, you're not going to make any money in forestry. So I went into engineering.
Okay. But at high school? High school is when you had that thought.
Well, you were picking colleges, so you took the career tests. And,
yes. And did you grow up in the Boston area?
No, I grew up in the Berkshires.
Okay.
I grew up in a little town called Richmond outside of Pittsfield.
Full circle. Why you love the beer?
Yeah. And
and then where'd you end up at college?
I went to the University of Lowell.
Yeah. Okay. Riverhawks.
They were the Chiefs at that time.
They were the Chiefs at that time, all right.
And, for manufacturing, it was a really good fit. You had all working class people from the whole area, and a lot of commuter students. But everyone was pretty down to earth and hands on. Going there for career training, not student protests and lofty ideals. It was you were there to learn. So
that's really cool. And then your first job out of college was Raytheon. Is that
no? I graduated in '82, and it was kind of a recession.
Okay.
So I ended up working in a machine shop for a year and a half. The place was pretty primitive, but the guy bought old machines, and he worked on all big stuff.
Okay.
So you get these giant chunks of steel, and you're drilling 2-inch holes in it and things. But I was running a grinder, and but
was it a job shop, or were they making?
Yeah, it was a job shop.
Yeah.
But he got work because he had all the big equipment.
Okay.
So. You're running cranes and things to pick things up. It was a lot of fun.
I bet.
It was a filthy place to work, but it was a lot of fun. And then I went to work for a plastics factory in Clinton. I worked for Nitro.
Oh, yeah.
And so I spent probably another year and a half there. But I really didn't have, I was doing assembly stuff, and I really didn't have the plastic materials background to really get opportunities there.
Okay.
And I had friends at Raytheon.
Okay, and that's how you ended up over there.
Yep.
And then how did you? I know you spent a number of years at Bose and boomeranged, I believe, right?
Yes.
But can you just walk me through real quick how you ended up from Raytheon to Bose and then back to Bose?
Well, Raytheon was a tough environment, so I then went to work for a smaller electronics company.
Okay.
A small OEM designing data acquisition boards right up the hill here. Data translation.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So I worked there, and that was a great experience because in a small company like that, you do everything. You don't have your own programmers or mechanics and things. You are responsible for the whole process.
Okay.
So I learned a bunch there, and then I had a lot of friends from Raytheon at Bose, and they brought me in there, and that was the growth. There was you were moving into an environment where you made a lot of things. Volume manufacturing. So there was a lot of opportunity for buying big machinery, high-speed stuff, and designing a lot of tools and fixturing. We did a lot of our own automation type work there.
Okay.
And even just simple jigs to build things for the conveyor lines too. So that was really good. And then they were closing that plant, so that's when I left there and followed an opportunity. I went to a network company briefly, and then I started at Selectron, which was a contract manufacturer.
Mm-hmm. Boards, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And that was a greenfield site.
Okay.
And so that was again exciting. You're starting from nothing.
Right.
And you're one of the first guys there. You're reporting to the plant manager.
And do you feel like that, both at Selectron and I forget the name of was it Data Translation? Do you feel like working at those smaller companies, or not, I mean, I don't know how Selectron's not small, so that's not a fair characterization. But do you feel like working on that brand new facility and then working at smaller companies helped you in your career at Bose, because you were at Bose for quite some time?
Yeah, it did a lot. Like I said, you work at the small company, you have to do everything.
Yes.
So you're really hands-on. And then the bigger company, now you start to the jobs stratify a little, and you in some areas you kind of direct the activities.
Yes. Yes.
And move into a more strategic thing, buying equipment or introducing new products, understanding where, what equipment's needed and planning for that. So Selectron was interesting because you had customers who were kind of like Bose, where they knew a lot, and you had other customers that knew nothing. We had guys come in, when can we go to China? Well, you don't have a product yet.
Yeah, right.
so
It's on a napkin.
To go to China, they want hundreds of thousands, a month, not the 10 that you're going to order this month.
Right. It's how did you? Like, I know when you were at Bose too, you weren't always in new product manufacturing engineering, were you?
At Bose, you were pretty much factory floor support.
Okay.
So that you'd have the advanced manufacturing engineers, and they would design some of the tools, and then you get it into the factory and start building it and actually making modifications or actually redesigning the tools. Because this concept isn't working out.
Right. And were they all Bose facilities, or did you
Yes.
use? Okay. So
But Bose was until probably 6 or 7 years ago, Bose was very vertically integrated.
Yeah. Okay.
So they did their own design, board designs. They had groups designing automated tooling,
Okay.
and we had our own factories.
And so you were traveling a lot too, I'm guessing?
Not till my second stint with Bose.
Okay.
The Westboro was the flagship facility when I worked there.
Okay.
So we built everything, 901s to circuit boards, and this, at the beginning, circuit boards were pretty crude. They were single-sided.
Right.
And they weren't even fiberglass. They were paper phenolic.
Okay.
And they were punched.
Yes.
They'd have all these pins, and they'd punch the holes because they're only doing one side.
Right.
And by the time I left, we were doing surface mount technology and a lot of mixed technology boards and starting to get into processors and things like that in the product. So it went from just power supplies for speakers to all the way up to products that actually needed software and things like the Wave radio.
Yeah, because even now, when you buy a Bose I travel enough to need a pair of Bose noise canceling headphones on the flight, and even that, like now it all, your phone is connecting through the Bose app too. So I can imagine, from your experience, the technology and the manufacturing process got way more complex over your 20 years.
Oh yeah, I've actually got some examples.
Yeah, let's see them. Let's see them.
Okay.
I was wondering what you brought over
So
there.
this is what a headset board looked like originally,
Wow. Okay.
and this is what's in your earbuds.
I was gonna say this is pretty big.
Yeah,
That's what's in your earbuds?
that's what's in your earbud now.
Whoa. Very cool.
And this is what's going in them
Today?
today.
This is like-
that's a system on a chip, basically a chip.
Yeah, it's about the size of my fingernail.
Yeah,
This is a system on a chip.
yeah.
Wow. Very cool. So this is 2026. This is
That's probably 1996.
okay. Wow.
So look at the size of the parts.
It's incredible. The
Yeah.
difference is wild.
And then look at the parts on that.
Whoa.
That one has, this one is 1206s and 0805s, which is the dimension in thousandths of an inch.
Okay.
These are 01, 005, so that's 10 thousandths of an inch long and 5 thousandths of an inch wide.
And how many are on this board?
I don't know.
lot.
I haven't counted them
A
recently.
lot. A lot.
But
Wow.
when the guy working on that passed it around, it's just like, where are the parts?
Yeah, you can't even.
Your first thing is you don't see the parts.
That's crazy. And what would this be integrated into?
That's on things like your system on chip,
Okay.
where space becomes a premium.
And explain to people who don't know manufacturing well, what does that mean? Would you say system on chip?
A system on a chip.
System on a chip. So,
So basically, you're taking all the things on a circuit board like this,
yes.
and you're putting them on what looks like an IC.
Mm-hmm. An integrated circuit. Wow.
And you see the top is encapsulated for reliability,
Mm-hmm.
and if you look at the other side, it's smooth.
Yes.
So it's actually a chip. It's not one piece of silicon; it's several, and they're all integrated with the discrete parts that help it operate.
So, your line of work changed dramatically in those 25, 30 years there.
Yeah.
I always find it's interesting in how do you, I guess I'm interested to know, how do you feel like you consciously stayed on top of emerging technology? Or was it just part of you were just already engrossed in it, so you knew what was coming, like from your perspective?
Well, one of the things was going to conferences, staying involved in things like the SMTA, the Surface Mount Technology Association. That was a great resource because you go to companies and you'd see things like this,
Yes.
and you go to the trade shows, and the machine manufacturers would be telling you that one of their things is what size component they can go down to. So that was these were areas, and getting the magazines, the trade magazines, they'd be talking about these things ahead of time. And then your designers, of course, would always, all of a sudden, they want to use this thing.
Right.
So you'd be prepared, and as a manufacturing engineer in the factory or an advanced manufacturing engineer, one of your responsibilities is to let these guys know what that's going to take. One thing you're always fighting, particularly with contract manufacturers, they want to give you here.
Yes.
And they're not thinking about the cost,
Right.
or the investment. We need to buy a whole new line.
That was what I was going to ask, is
expensive equipment in order to do this, as opposed to the first one I showed you.
like as a vertically integrated company, do you feel like, I guess I don't know. I'm kind of, much of my life in manufacturing has been after 2010. So I feel like there's less and less vertically integrated companies as time's gone on.
Yep.
But do you feel like that's really a product of my conclusion on that is it's got to be a product of it's so hard as a vertically integrated company to keep up the investment dollars to constantly be changing lines, machines, etc. Is that true? And like, how did you guys manage that? Because you were vertically integrated for a very long time.
Well, that was the model when
Yeah.
I started working.
Okay.
You know, if you know, Fred Molinari started data translation. Well,
Right.
You know, he wanted to build some circuit boards, and they started building them by hand, and then
Yeah.
they bought some equipment, and they had
He's
their
building his own thing.
He had their own thing.
Yeah.
So you had a lot of companies with small shops, and that was a lot of fun. And you met a lot of guys because the guys you worked with at Raytheon, that was a place to stay 4 or 5 years and leave.
Okay.
It was a difficult environment, and
Difficult in terms of like like.
it was like working in 1950.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
you were in meetings with guys smoking and
Okay.
swearing and
Okay.
pounding on the table, and as you know, a 22-year-old kid, you're horrified. Your father's yelling at you.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. Okay. That's fair.
And you'd run into limited opportunity after a while.
Okay.
And these small companies were all looking for guys who knew how to build things, and so opportunities would come up, so you get paid better, and you'd start to really grow your career. Whereas Raytheon was kind of a place to go at the beginning of your career. They wanted to hire fresh out of college,
Yes.
and teach you a few things and get some cheap years out of you. So.
Makes sense. And then you took your knowledge and brought it to market somewhere
Yeah.
else. That makes sense.
But you know, Dr. Bose very much liked to build things.
Yes.
And he saw a lot of value and a lot of innovation opportunities in that. You know, in the loudspeakers.
Yes.
And in electronics, as that started to grow, he saw a lot of opportunity to integrate innovation in the product, and we did a lot of innovative things that you know, you go to contract manufacturers and they're doing things a lot of by brute force, and, you know, and refinements that we saw. You know, we had one of our first consoles, and the VP was insistent that we not have a lot of screws. We ended up building this whole stereo console with 6 screws.
Really?
These things snapping together, snapping in, and
Because of the design aesthetic?
right.
Yeah.
Well, you know, you put the design up front,
Yeah.
and you're able to do a lot of design for manufacturing. Whereas if you send things to China now and
Yes.
let them do it,
Yes.
they're doing what's expedient.
Yes.
Yeah, more screw. Yeah, put holes there.
The
just screw
fastest
everything
way we can
together.
do it. Yeah.
Yeah, nobody's got time to you know, invest the thousands of dollars it takes to, and the time, you know, the lead time it takes to really come up with better solutions or simpler manufacturing.
And do it right, yeah. I've always found Bose in particular to be such a cool company because I grew up here in Boston, and then you can't not drive by that facility in Framingham without noticing it. But always high end, and like I would say, always a premium on design aesthetic. Kind of honestly like an Apple, where it's like we care about how this looks as well.
Yeah, I always that really stood out to me when you go to the store displays.
Yes.
You look at JBL and some of Beats and some of the things, you're like, who designed that?
Yeah.
thing?
Like who's gonna put that in their kitchen?
There was more of an elegance to the Bose designs, and they still put a big part of what goes into the product is that design language. How's it going to look? It's got to look like a premium product, not just the materials, but the
It's
whole
not
thing.
just the function.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, I grew up in the '90s, and I don't know if I went into many kitchens that didn't have a Bose under the cabinet, like.
Oh, the Bose Wave radio.
The Bose Wave
I
radio,
worked on
yeah.
the first ones, and we're all shaking our heads. Who's going to buy a $350 radio?
Yeah, they were expensive.
And the thing just took off. It really built the company
Incredible.
for a lot of years.
Incredible. But the other thing that I learned when I got to meet people like you and others at Bose, I also was struck by it's got such a It's got such an element of like the research piece that from Dr. Bose and the MIT influence that way. Can you talk about how that? Can you talk about what drew you to that culture for so long?
Well, being vertically integrated, you were actually talking to these guys.
Yes.
They come and ask you, what's it take to build this? What if we did that? And then, we'd have tours every year, and they'd show you the cool things they were working on. Dr. Bose is very much, he'd let guys go.
Okay.
Guys have an idea, he'd give them some funding for it. The suspension for automobiles.
Yeah, I remember
and he'd
that.
keep it alive for years. And the headphones. For years it was just aviation headsets,
I didn't know
the accountants would say, we're not making a ton of money on this. We want to kill it. And President Bob Maresca tells this story all the time. He says, and Dr. Bose told him, I should be fired for keeping that alive. But he says, but imagine the value if we can make this work. And here, years later,
yes.
They wouldn't have a company if you didn't get into that.
Right.
And it, ended up being the pioneer in this technology. So.
Did you work at all on the car suspension?
I built some boards for the car suspension. That was a pretty interesting thing. It was
Very interesting.
Then I pretty much worked in every area of the company.
Okay.
And that's one of the reasons I stayed, was continued growth. I worked in the automotive suspension, building some things for them. The automotive area, the audio for the cars, the professional products, and the home audio.
Yes.
And it was going through a real evolution. So it created a lot of opportunities to learn things and to grow. And then as you were there for a few years, you'd start to become a leader in the group.
And keep going. How would you, like today, with a successful career in organizations like that, building products, 18-year-old, 22-year-old kid, engineering degree, gets out of school, what advice would you have for them in terms of, cutting their teeth and to have a rewarding and long-lasting career?
I would say the biggest thing is to get somewhere hands-on. Small companies, you learn a lot because you have to do everything. Big companies like the way Bose is now, stuff's outsourced.
Yes.
And you're just talking to some guys in China. You may get a trip out there, but you're not building the background to know more than your suppliers.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Bringing it back around
full
to
circle.
That. So build that background. Join professional organizations. Go to trade shows. Get involved in things. And then with that knowledge, you can then bring value to larger companies and make yourself valuable to them
At more of a strategic level.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are there obvious jobs from your perspective that you see going away with automation, AI?
Oh, well, I look at AI as it's just automation.
It is, yeah.
And someone still needs to manage the automation, and also it's great and as it's been sold, and probably in the last 8 to 10 years, the equipment manufacturers have really been trying to integrate with the whole line.
Yes.
So you have the machines all want to talk to each other. You want to keep track of inventory, and where I've seen people try and integrate that, one thing they're horrified on is the licensing cost.
Yes.
It's if it's doing something valuable for you, it's not going to be cheap.
Right.
And the amount of resources you need to put into the integration. People are fooling around with AI. It wrote my review for me. Well,
right.
Try and do something complex. You got all this data, and you need good integrity in that. Because running a factory, you can't be caught short on parts because it was hallucinating that the machines were using all this material, or it didn't see the reels that are on the floor because someone didn't scan them.
Right. So you don't see a massive disruption in in manufacturing with
I-
AI. as
it's
much.
they call it Industry 4.0.
Yes, yes.
So it's going to be less knowing about how the machines operate. When I started, the machines were very mechanical.
Yes.
Yeah, you use mechanical fingers to center the parts before you place them. Now it's all vision, and it's happening in the blink of an eye.
Right.
So you need to know some of that, but you're going to need to know how to integrate those machines and what the the placement machine's telling the screen printer that the print is off. Things like that.
Right.
So you need to be able to manage that integration, but you still need the knowledge to go back and know where to look. And
Yes. So I'm
figure
hearing
things
from
out.
you, workflows are going to get compressed, but you're still going to need the person to direct.
Right.
Is basically what in summary what you're saying.
Yeah, AI will do the sorting for you.
Yeah.
But you're still going to have to do the analysis and know what to do with it.
Right. Right. Do you feel the same about the assembler, technician, inspection style jobs in their and how automation and AI will affect those jobs? I mean, those jobs obviously have changed. From my vantage point, we haven't seen it necessarily like, I guess if you thought when automation came around 10 years ago, well, like Industry 4.0 started getting talked about, there was the conversation like, is our assemblers going to go away? We haven't seen that at all.
Right. I mean, it's like our plumber's going to go away.
Yeah, that's kind of, yeah.
You still
yeah.
need people who know how to solder.
Right.
And particularly now, boards, are more expensive than they have ever been. So you need someone who can fix minor defects.
Yes.
AI can help you with, inspection is very automated now.
It is, yeah.
But, there's also, interferences and shaded areas, things you can't see. And AI will help generate the data, that, you've got a problem, this kind of problem, it may be your screen printer. But you still need people who are going to fix that and enter things, this is what when I looked at it, this is what I saw.
Yes.
Or, when you took a visual look at it, it wasn't real. You're doing these things with cameras.
Right.
So it's all the gradient of lighting and shadows and reflections. So there's still error in it.
Yeah, still challenges to be worked through.
Yeah.
But like I'm guessing you stay in touch with people, either former colleagues or your other industry counterparts at other companies, and it doesn't sound to me like you're hearing this massive disruption in their day to day.
No.
Okay, that's interesting. That's
Yeah,
interesting.
like I said, it's automation.
Yes,
we
it
used to design wave pallets, and someone would have to draw circles around all the parts and stuff. And we started dealing with this company. They automated that.
Okay.
And so they design this fixture and send it to you, and you'd look for interferences or, I want to touch the part here. But it was doing 95% of the work.
Okay.
And so you were able to turn these things in 3 to 4 days from designing it, and you get approval on it, and it was the machine time to make it and get it down to the factory. So you'd be ordering, the boards would come out on a Friday, and you'd be approving the tools on Tuesday, and they'd be manufacturing them, and you fly down the following week and build them.
So productivity is going to go up, continue to be increased.
Yeah, it's going to increase productivity, but there's still a lot of moving parts.
Yes.
And you still, like your home, you still need plumbers and and carpenters to hang doors. And
Well, and to your point earlier on your advice to younger people getting into this, probably the more importance of working at a small company to know what's going on. Like not only doing many jobs, but doing the steps in those jobs that maybe that company doesn't necessarily have all the resources, whereas if you showed up at a big Fortune 100, they might already have it a little bit more automated and you don't understand how the sausage is made.
Right. It really gives you, learning the basics.
Yeah.
Gives you the knowledge you need to understand the larger concepts.
Yeah. It just reminds me of the Vince Lombardi when he comes out. This is a football.
Here's a story from an old guy at Raytheon. He told us about this Swiss machinist test. they give you a print of a cube and a piece of material on a file. And you'd have to file that thing to the precision that it needed. You're making a cube with a file.
Right.
But anything after that was just an improvement on what you were doing, learning how to hold the material, learning how to cut, cut evenly and stuff.
Yes.
So, that basis gave you the understanding, a milling machine is just an automation of that, and I need to clamp it this way so the forces don't send the thing shooting off the machine. That's kind of, I guess, the concept.
Yes. It's still rings true.
If you understand how solder works, now you can understand how solder works in these advanced applications.
Right.
One of the last things I worked on at Bose was this thing, laser ball soldering.
Okay.
So you take this 30 thousandths ball of solder, like on a ball grid array, and they think of the concept is like a funnel. So you're blowing hot nitrogen down this funnel, and then there's a laser working in there. So you drop the ball in.
Okay.
The laser would melt the solder, and the pressure of the nitrogen, everything getting hot, it would shoot it at the board.
Whoa.
And then the laser would keep going long enough for that solder to melt and form a solder joint.
Wow.
And the nitrogen would it would do the fluxing to prevent oxidation.
Wow.
So we're soldering things, tiny little things with this solder ball technology. But you'd watch it and you could see the solder start to wet and it's like goes back to using a soldering iron where you see the solder start to go.
And then
it's like, oh, okay, I know what's going on here.
That makes a lot of sense. Well, it's interesting to hear your perspective on it because I'm not an engineer by background, but I was just touring it's not a job shop. We've got a customer down in the Georgia area that builds boards for another customer. They're in the same building, and they just spun up the line. It was a European company that came over, so everything was brand spanking new. Ton of automation, ton of I think they were brand new wave solder machines, et cetera, and so forth. But there were still engineers on the line. There were still a lot of technicians on the line, maybe less based on how much output they needed. But I would have expected, I wouldn't have been surprised, is a better way of saying it, in 2026 to see fresh lines being set up. I was surprised at how many people were still there. To your point originally, like how much can you really compress the workflow?
Well, like cars. I have an old car, and there's no electronics in it.
Right.
But what you're driving to work today, you still need to know how to drive.
Yeah, it's so true.
And even with autonomous driving, you're still going to need to know when to take control or how this thing is operating too.
What is your pre-electronics car you got?
I have a 1979 Corvette.
Awesome.
So
that's very cool. And have you had it for a long time?
I've had it for 23 years.
Okay. Oh, very cool. It's on the a bucket list is the wrong, wish list is the right word. It's on the wish list is to have a pre-computer car.
Well, I got into that one because it was, the later C3s were less expensive.
Yes.
But it's a car that you need to know how to work on. Either that or you're going to spend a lot of money paying someone to fix it.
Yes. So is that what's keeping you busy these days, messing with that? Or
I got that in pretty good shape. But I have motorcycles. I do model trains, and I have all sorts of stuff.
You're a tinkerer at heart.
And that's how I got into manufacturing.
Exactly.
Like I said, I was always tinkering with something.
Yes.
My dad worked at 2 jobs, so he never had time to fix the cars. So he'd bring home a starter and tell me to put it in one of the cars, and
you'd have to figure it
bring
out.
home hoses, change the hoses and belts in this one.
Was your dad also in like a manufacturing style?
He worked for General Electric.
Oh yeah,
assembling the power transformers.
Okay, very cool. I think now that you say that, I think my wife's grandfather did the exact same thing at GE. Power transformers. So locally.
In Pittsfield.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah,
that's right.
These things were the size of this room. They were huge.
Right. And that was at a time when if I'm correct, manufacturing out in Western Mass was booming, right?
Yeah.
Was that IBM
Yep.
too? They were more Poughkeepsie, I think, actually.
Yeah, they were in Poughkeepsie. But
Yeah.
Pittsfield was a General Electric town.
Yeah, it was.
And you know, and you go interviewing for jobs after college, and they all made things for General Electric.
Okay.
So it really gave you an idea of how much
Breath.
a manufacturing facility in town impacts the rest of the community.
Yes, drastically. I will say, I grew up in Dedham, so a little closer to the city. Than I was when I got this role here. My father was an engineer, but in construction, and we always we were his laborers, kind of. So it was like, my brother and I were curious enough to try to figure stuff out, and my dad was the kind of guy who'd fix the car, that kind of stuff. But I was shocked at how much manufacturing happens in Massachusetts. I think it's like not an industry that gets talked about a whole lot, but it employs a ton of people, and it's changed, and it's been interesting to watch it change because I think the costs here have been a challenge for manufacturers.
Yes.
Which I'm guessing is part and parcel to some of the reason Bose is outsourcing more and more now, right?
Yes. You know,
But you lived it, but
and as we talked about earlier, the amount of capital tied up. As the industry becomes commodified.
Yeah.
Now you're not making 10x margins on your innovative products.
And the pace of innovation is happening faster too,
Right.
right?
So that chews up a lot of capital. So you're pushing that to a contract manufacturer. They own the capital, and you're kind of renting it.
Yes. It's definitely a different dynamic. If you had to lead a manufacturer like the size of a Bose, what would you be worried about or focused on over the next 10 years to maintain market dominance?
I'm not sure. They need to find the next big thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, a lot of people are moving towards software now.
Yes.
But you know, you'd be working on products, and you're like, the software's getting too big. And this is the thing with AI. You know, they talk about the amount of energy it needs,
Right.
and cooling, and you're like, you know what? That's, you know, your brain doesn't need that much. We eat a little food, and we're able to run this
Right.
mega processor.
True.
And that's kind of where computing needs to go there to where you're just writing these giant complex things, and it's fraught with it. You start to get variability in that. So it's hard to say from a product standpoint. How do you
Well, I think you said
what's the next growth area?
I think you said it. What's the next big thing? I think that's probably
And that was something. You know, that came back to where Dr. Bose was letting these guys go. You know, the automotive
yeah.
thing that came out of it, the suspension, the Acoustimass things. You know,
Oh, I don't know what those are.
The satellite speakers.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a guy in Japan. He didn't have room for big speakers in his Japanese house.
Okay.
So what if we do this? And then there was another guy playing with bass boxes, and you know, he just had them in a board, and then he realized the unidirectional thing. You know, he had the thing covered up, and it was like there was no different. You know, the bass would fill the room. It wasn't directional anymore.
Yes.
So those kind of innovation, you know, allowing that kind of guys to think of these things. You don't know what the next thing's going to be.
Right. Right. You just have to constantly be playing.
Yeah, I did this thing, Coffee Talks, and one of the with the engineers of my group, because we were tired of working on things by ourselves.
Yeah.
And we wanted to share. You know, we had a group in Stowe and one in Framingham, and we were like, you know, those guys are working on cool things too. Let's.
Right.
And if you get a problem, I said, bring it to the Coffee Talk. But and I'd have to keep it going. So I did this thing on innovation, which was a big idea I had at the time. And you know, one of the things I discovered, like the movie Cars.
Yeah.
There are 500. That was picked out of 500 possibilities.
Really?
So, and that's one of the things with innovation is, you you get an idea and you're working on it. That might go nowhere.
Yes.
Or it might be too far ahead of its time. You need to be working on 10 things. One of the things we did once at Bose was this, they let guys kind of go with a free time, they called it. They let them work on whatever they wanted. One guy was putting batteries in a portable speaker instead of plugging it in.
Okay.
He said, we got this spacer in here. He filled it with batteries, and now the thing was really portable. One guy made a portable home theater. And I just thought to myself, this is where your next generation of products comes from, is, just guys thinking of things and trying crazy stuff.
It's the truth. Did you have a specific amount of like mandated time that was free time at Bose?
No, not in manufacturing. But
Okay,
the design engineers and some of the scientist kind of guys.
They had playtime.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I would imagine that's got to be a huge rub at a big company, is like balancing innovation with the accountants.
yeah, and that's where the the visionary in charge of the company really makes a difference.
Yes.
Because it's his company, and he's a thinker, not a business guy counting the
Right, not a numbers
counting
guy.
the dollars.
Yeah, that's very cool. What when you look back on your career at Bose, like what's the thing you're the most proud of working on?
I don't know. There's so many highlights.
Okay. I don't have to pin you down to one then.
Yeah. I worked on some great projects.
Okay.
Where we were doing new things and trying things. This module we're building that, and that assembled into a whole series of products. This was the Wi-Fi portion of it, but that was something new for us. So that was a whole bunch of great work.
Yeah.
One of the things I really enjoyed was the coffee talk thing that I discussed.
Yeah.
I never thought of myself as a teacher. I had a friend who was teaching at UMass Lowell, and he, and I said, a room full of young kids, but you get these guys out of college and working with us, and eager to learn things, and you ended up being a teacher, or you're working on the manufacturing floor. You've got to show people how to build things.
Yes.
And you need to explain to them why they're doing this. Not the old top down, just do it.
Just do it. Yeah.
Explain to them why, and now they're not going to cheat you
They're
on
thinking
it.
about it.
They're going to understand what they're doing. And the coffee talks really turned into that. We were all learning, learning what the other guys were doing, and the young guys were teaching us things.
Yes.
It's
it goes both ways.
I wrote a short program that does all this design work for us on the stencil. It figures out all these apertures for us. So that was a lot of fun, and the guys really picked up on that. They liked
Yes.
coming there, and
Well, you probably reminded them of why they got into the business in the first place with those coffee talks, I would guess.
it was a chance to show off what you're working on, or to ask for help, and
Right.
and
And honestly, the word that keeps coming back to my mind is like from the innovation conversation we were having is play. Like it's like kids at heart, trying to make cool stuff. It's like that simple. And I think when you bring a bunch of people together working on different products and different problems and challenges, you get more of that.
When they talk about diversity, this is where different experiences.
Yes.
Guys came from different companies.
Right.
Different things, and
Adds to the collective.
right.
Yeah, that's very cool. So what's next for Don? Are you going to get that job at UMass Lowell? You sound like the teaching bug is close here.
I don't know about that. I'm just 3 months into this, so
I know it's
There's
recent.
a lot of catching up on all the things you've put off over the years, and and basically getting organized. You make a list. You want to do everything.
Right.
Wait a minute. This isn't all going to fit into one summer. But
I know, and finally the weather's turning nice, so you can tackle the outside projects, I'm sure.
yeah. I'm an outdoor cat. My wife calls me. So,
Okay.
So.
So what do you like to do outdoors? I'd love to hear.
Motorcycles, cars.
Yeah.
I do gardening.
Okay.
Flowers and vegetables, just digging in the yard.
Yeah.
Build stone walls. I got a bunch of stone walls to fix.
Love that.
Painting.
Yeah.
It's just.
I also feel like there's just a certain class of us New Englanders that once the thaw breaks and we just can be outside, we're like, I'm not going back inside until November.
Yeah.
Like, I don't do anything to stay outside.
Opening up the garage, getting the saw, put the cars out, get the saw fired up.
Yep, get going. Don, I can't tell you how happy I was to spend my last Sunday just cleaning my garage out during that nice couple hours we had. It was like, okay, we're getting out. We're finally breaking free from winter. So,
yeah, it's funny how just the change in the weather and the light motivates you. Yeah, you kind of hunkered down all winter, and then all of a sudden
it's wild.
You're breaking out the tools.
It's wild. I will say this is like one of the first couple of years I've really realized that like I got to find a way to get out of here for like a week in January just to remind my skin what sun is like. And it's dark at 8, it's dark at 4. It's hard, but that's awesome. Well, I wish you a tremendous amount of joy in your outdoor activities coming, and I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your background and your experience and some of your perspective too about what made you guys successful, your career, and where you see things are going. So appreciate that.
Well, thanks for inviting me. It's been rewarding to look back.
I bet.
And realize all that you've done.
Well, now you got a little keepsake you can share. If anyone's like, what was your life like at Bose or growing up in your world, you can be like, well, I talked about it here for 50 minutes. Check it out. So thanks again for coming on, Don, and enjoy the Berkshire Brewing.
Okay, thanks.
Take it easy.
My pleasure.